Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of The Trevor Ohlsen Show, episode number 80 on Wednesday, November 17th, 2021. I am your semi frustrated host for the day, the afternoon, the evening, Trevor Ohlsen. I just spent the last hour adjusting camera settings, figuring things out on two episodes ago. I filmed on my phone and it looked like dog shit. Oh my god, I gotta, speaking of settings. There we go. Or no, it looked fine, but as always, my phone was filled, and it just, you guys know what happens. And then last on Patreon on Saturday, I filmed, but the lighting was wretched, and so I just looked up. I just watched like 4 tutorial videos, and did some adjusting, and it's hopefully I'm looking at a screen above. Hopefully it's better than it was, on Saturday. So anyway, I was like adjusting like this for like an hour, and my shoulders are burning. My shoulders are on fire. So, but anyway, it's gonna stop filming after 20 minutes. I've yet to figure out how to fix that. I thought I changed it to 30 minutes, but anyway, I don't want to talk about it. Just fucking irritates me. But anyway, how's everybody doing? Did you go out and shoot Bambi? Did you? I went out and shot the father, just like in the show. I haven't seen Bambi forever. I don't know if I've ever even watched it from start to finish. You know, as a child, I didn't really get introduced to children's stories, and I think that's because I was the third child, and my parents were pretty much over the whole thing. So, the girls, they got the books and the stories, and then they weren't allowed to get, a TV or anything fun until they were older. Probably like 16 or something like that. But I remember I got a TV in my bedroom at, I don't know if I was like 14 or something like that. The girls were just fucking pissed. By girls, I mean my sisters. They were just pissed at the fact that, I had to wait till I was 26 to get a TV. No, I had to wait till I was, 17 to get something. And I got it at like 13 or 14. But there was a cost, I don't know what Cinderella's all about. I haven't watched the ones with the dwarfs. Is that Cinderella? I don't even know. I know there's, what else? What ones are there? I recently watched Pinocchio as a 26-year-old adult. And that's because I watched Jordan Peterson's lectures on it. Other ones. I can't even think of other ones. The Little Mermaid. I did see that one. That's one of them, right? What is there? There's Cinderella. Snow White. I couldn't tell you the difference. I'd have to go back and watch. Peter Pan. I don't think I've ever seen that start to finish. What's really cool about those shows, though, having watched some of them now as an adult, and I wouldn't know this if it wasn't for the lectures that from Jordan Peterson, but just the symbolic significance of them, and how, but even just on a more simplistic level, how these movies were made in the, I don't know, 20s, 30s, 40s, whenever they were made, and they're still so captivating and interesting today. And they drew them by hand. Like, it's unbelievable that they were able to do that by hand. Just imagine some guy sitting at the desk, disappointed in his marriage, fucking drawing up princesses all day. He's like, God damn it, how did I end up here? At night, he's just sneaking off, meeting some hooker named Jill. Then he draws her, and that's how Snow White comes about. That's what Snow White looks like, this desperate old man's hooker. He, gets an STD from her. I don't know. Does Snow White have STDs? I don't think she does. Is she the one with the glass slipper? She's walking around. That is not functional. That is not a pragmatic type slipper. Walking around on glass. What if you got to run? What if you're going to be attacked? Or what if you want to be the attacker? What if you're some crazy bitch who just hates men? Had a bad breakup when you were younger, haven't gotten over it. Now you just conceptualize all men as shitty people. How are you supposed to chase after him wearing a glass slipper? And what woman wants a glass slipper? Glass. You'd think you would want something like, if anything, I think of a sort of archetypal slipper. I think of the one from The Wizard of Oz, the shiny ruby red ones. At least those are, kind of going to catch your eyes and not going to, I don't know, make you get a tetanus shot. I don't know. It's just, it doesn't seem practical. Even heels in general. Any type of shoe that doesn't allow you to run away isn't very practical. Apparently it's for, it makes the legs look better. It juts your ass out. Makes everything look a little better. Women are, you're very sneaky at really, women are really good at, sneaky is not the right word. Bunch of fucking sneaks. Women are great at playing off their strengths. Make a little red lipstick, make the lips look a little more voluptuous. Wear some heels, makes your ass jut out a little more. What do men do? Well, most men don't do shit. But if you want to stand out as a guy, just don't wear camouflage. I remember I bought this, and after I got back from Sweden, I kind of went through this weird style change when I got back from Sweden. I don't know. I just felt kind of like a different person. Felt a little more loose, so I bought some looser fitting clothes. I like tight clothes though, not tight, but snug in the right places, I suppose you might say. But I remember I showed up. I was wearing this, and my dad was like, "You're wearing camouflage." Because I've always kind of joked about that's just what people wear in the Upper Peninsula is camouflage. And so I had made a refusal to wear camouflage, essentially. And but I bought this, and he's like, "You're wearing camo," and I was like, "Yeah, but it's for style, not for hunting." Speaking of hunting, and I shouldn't do that. I have a tendency to, when people go right, I go left. I have a tendency to do that, and maybe I just think I do that, but like I stopped drinking when everyone started drinking more in COVID. I never wear camo, except now I am, so I'm a hypocrite. Speaking of hunting, though, I went hunting and murdered an animal. Quickly murdered. Murder's not the right word. But I had a successful hunt 2 days ago. I went out. It's almost, I'm realizing how lazy of a hunt, though, it is. Like, I go sit in a pop-up, and I just sit. There's a heater in there I bring. I got snacks. Just kind of kick it. I've got a rifle. It's like, and then a deer just has to walk in and it's game over if I so choose. It's a really lazy form of hunting, I'm realizing it. I think it's more just, it's not even hunting, it's more just shooting. Because when I think of hunting, I think of someone out, tracking an animal and cutting paths through the woods and this long, arduous, physically demanding task. And it's not that at all. I was eating some granola bars with dark chocolate and peanut butter. My cousin was with me. We were laughing, just hanging out, shooting the shit. 2 hours in, we weren't even quiet anymore. We just started laughing. And then like a few minutes later, that's when my buck walked in. So I shot a buck. Shot a buck. It was a nice little 6-pointer. I think maybe technically it's 5. I mean, it's a 6 for sure, but one of the antlers there's a piece that's broken off. You can see there's a little bit missing. So I don't know if it's technically if it's not long enough to count it as a 6, but it is a 6. But one of the antlers got chopped off. I don't know what happened. Maybe he got in a tussle with his Uncle Ed trying to fuck some chick. It's crazy how the deer, the male deer, becomes so obsessed with mating. Whereas with people, guys are, for the most part, especially single men, who aren't having sex regularly, they're like, it's like they're in the rut 24/7. That's my experience. If you're having sex regularly, you don't think about it. And you're usually having sex regularly when you have a significant other, or you're really whoring out. But when you know you can have sex consistently, with somebody regularly, preferably a partner, then you don't think about it. But if you don't really know the next time you're going to have it, or you start to really overestimate its importance, and you can really just become transfixed on it. So it's kind of like that, like for 2 weeks for the deer, when the bucks are in the rut and they're just trying to bang all the ladies out there. They're so obsessed. They don't even hear me and my cousin laughing away. But anyway, so this buck walks in. We saw 8 deer that morning, so it was a nice busy morning. And first 2 were does, and then 4 more, or the first one was a doe, and then a little tiny spike, and then 4 more does, 6, and then another doe, and then that's when the 6-pointer walked in. And he was about 100 paces to my left, and my cousin was to my left, so it's like the gun was just across my cousin's face when I shot. But long story short, he came in, I put the scope up on him. I could see that he was a decent buck. I knew that there was a 6-pointer and 8-pointer around, and so that's why I held off on that spike. But so once I got the scope up on him, I could see that he was a decent little 6, and I was like, okay, he's a decent buck. So my cousin plugged his ears. I put the scope up on him, and one shot, he was kind of at an angle, but I would aim for that front right shoulder, and blasted right through. He dropped right away. He tried to get up, and he just kind of stumbled about 10 feet, and then he laid down, and he died very quickly. So it was my best shot yet. It was very quick for the animal, which is what you want, and it was great. It really couldn't have gone any better. And so shot him, got him back, dragged him back to the camp. That's a work. I want to do a workout, drag a dead deer, whatever it was. It wasn't even that far, maybe a quarter mile, but my God, was it demanding. Like dragging a hooker's body. I haven't done that. I've heard things. So anyway, got him hung up in a tree. And then yesterday, I decided, every year so that I've hunted so far that I've hunted for 4 years now. I've hunted deer for 4 years, and I've been successful 3 out of the 4. 2 does and then 1 buck. But every year so far, I've butchered it myself with my cousin. And this year I decided that I'm going to have somebody else do it. So I drove down to, Pelkins in Crivets, about an hour away from where I'm at. And they have, without exaggerating, 1,000 dead deer in their facility. The gentleman, he opened up the freezer. He's like, I got 200 in here. And there was indeed 200 dead deer. And he's like, I got 800 in there. And it was crazy to see that amount of dead deer. And they don't keep the heads, and so they're all just decapitated. And it was pretty wild to see. Made me realize how strong of a hunting culture. I've always known that the hunting culture here is strong, obviously, but man, oh man, thousands and thousands and thousands of deer get killed. But that's the circle of life. But I'm really happy with my hunt this year, as lazy as it was with my granola bars and heater. Happy that the deer died very quickly. Happy I got my first buck, nice little 6. And yesterday, since they didn't keep the head, because I figured that they would do the antlers as well and everything, and that's not the case. And so I watched a YouTube video and I sawed the antlers off myself, which is like you saw right into the deer's skull at straight down in front of the antlers and then at an angle behind them, and then you just kind of smash the head against the ground and it pops loose. But yeah, pretty wild. You see the deer's brain and everything. It was a first for me. So it's a pretty hunting for me is it's always a humbling reminder of the brutality. Maybe, well, it's brutal, but it is because you're killing an animal, but you are killing it hopefully as efficiently and as quickly as possible. So in that sense, it's death, but it's efficient death. But just when when we think of meat, we just think of packaged meat in a grocery store, and it's like we forget the whole entire process of that it takes for that meat to get there. It's like if it's a cow, it's like you got to slaughter the cow, gut it, and then have all that meat processed. And it's just, even when you're gutting a deer and you it's you cut, not to get into too many details, but with a male, at least the way I was told to do it, it's like you cut around the dick first, and then you cut around the asshole, and then you basically pull it out, pull things out, and then you start at the breastplate, slice all the way down to the end, to the groin area, I suppose, and then you reach in and cut all the membrane that's holding in all the internal organs. Flip it over, cut the membrane, all the organs fall out, and then you cut the throat out. Like, it's brutal. It's like you're literally shoulder deep inside this deer, and you're like, damn. It's not pretty by no means, and I think it shocks a lot of people because they're not. It's almost like they're detached from what it takes to get meat. Especially if people maybe come from a more urban environment and have never hunted. It's pretty shocking to see for the first time. Even when you kill an animal for the first time, it's a shock. If you're not a psycho, because you recognize that you're killing the animal. Even the first time I killed a bird, I remember killing chipmunks and I cried, but I killed those for fun with my friend, and it just didn't feel good. This is when I was really little, and I never did it since. I killed like two or three chipmunks, and I felt so bad. And because it's not right to just kill to kill, that's not right. But to kill to eat, that's a different thing. And so to kill a partridge, or a ruffed grouse, whatever you want to call it, you recognize it's like you got the aim up and you're aiming at the head, and you realize that at your demand, if you have got a good shot, you're gonna end this animal's life. And of course you have that thought, but when you do it, I think it's so valuable because you recognize even the value of your own life, or the value of life in general, and you feel so grateful for that life that you took, and that you can enjoy the food and that you've acquired because of it. And so, and to have a good meal with your family from an animal that you killed, it's a special thing. It's because you're much more connected to the animal. You're much more you're completely aware of what it took to get it. A heater on a granola bar. As far as, like I said, the gutting process, it's a very intimate, you have a very intimate relationship with the animal from the time you kill it to the time you eat it. And it's much more valuable than just buying something off the grocery store. You don't really, you value it, but you value it in a different way. It doesn't mean as much to you. It may be delicious and it may be a good meal, but you don't know what it took. You don't know what that animal went through. You didn't watch it die. Like, sorry for people who don't like to hear this conversation, but it's very much valuable. The recording's going to stop here. I'm going to restart it here because we're going to be 20 minutes in, and I've yet to figure out how to fix that. So I'm waiting for it. Let's see if it shuts off here. I might be wrong. That's 5. I've been recording now for 20. Yep, there it goes. I knew it. All right, we'll get you back up here. Don't you worry. I've just yet to figure this out. There you go. You're back. You're back. Don't worry. So I found out that the reason they do that is it's a tax purpose. Like, there's a difference between a camera and a video camera, and the difference is the time limit. And the Nikon D3200 has a 20-minute time limit for filming, which is ridiculous because that's so short. But which means I should probably invest in a different camera if I'm really serious. But anyhow, it was a successful hunt, and I'm excited to get the meat back. And yeah, it was good. What else is going on? What else have I been up to? What else have you been up to? Did you grow up with Cinderella? Did Cinderella shoot a deer? Did she do that? Imagine if you wouldn't really be able to do that now. If Cinderella took place where she's, trapped in the forest, and the only way to escape is she has to shoot a deer, gut it, she has to survive. It'd be probably too traumatizing for a lot of people. Even my sister, she's cracking me up. She doesn't want the kids watching shows where there's like fake violence and they say shut up. Like, which is what we grew up watching, like she was talking about Powerpuff Girls. Remember that one? Bunch of, I didn't, that was the show that my sisters liked, but I watched more, I liked Dexter's Laboratory, little scientist fella running around causing chaos. I loved, and it also kind of freaked me out when I was little, Courage the Cowardly Dog. That's a good one. And now people are kind of saying like those are like too intense for kids. It's like, oh God, we're raising a bunch of softies. And there's something to be said about protecting your children, but you gotta. I've realized in the last few years how incredibly sheltered of an upbringing I had, and I'm not complaining. I'm just recognizing that, and there's nothing wrong per se. It's just, especially when you go out and see the world. But I was definitely pretty sheltered from a lot of things growing up in the Upper Peninsula, because it's a nice, safe area. But you become, like I've said this before, you're sheltered. If it doesn't matter where you're born, if you never leave, you're sheltered to some degree. I suppose we'd have to define what we're talking about when we say sheltered. But just I kind of realized, I think that I was pretty sheltered, even into my like early 20s, maybe when I was like 21-ish. But just with time and experience in life, especially if you're going out and exploring, you become less naive, less sheltered. And so I understand the argument of wanting to, it's instinctual to want to protect your kids from things, but also I think it's like those kids, that's life. And so, but this is coming from a guy who's not a parent, just as someone who's an outside observer, where you go, well, yes, you want to keep your kids safe, of course, but you also want them to venture out into the world. So I don't know, it's finding that balance. What the fuck do I know? I'm single. I don't have a child. Don't listen to me. Why? Yeah, let me give you some parental advice, parents. Listen to the 26-year-old single person with no children. I really want kids someday, though. I've always wanted to be married and have kids, and that's probably because, I've been fortunate enough to grow up and see my mom and dad together, and with my siblings as well. All of us, thank God, all of us still being very close. And yeah. So I want that. I definitely want a family. I want a wife and kids. It's definitely something I want more than I want, to be promiscuous, because we've all done that, and I don't know. It's a really sort of Playboy-esque, it's like a 17-year-old's fantasy. You think you want to just fuck all the girls all the time forever. And then you kind of start walking down that path, and you realize that it can be. And I think for most people it's a hollow pursuit. And I think a lot of people pretend or lie to themselves that they can have sex with a lot of different people and it doesn't affect them. But I think that's bullshit. If I had to guess, just from my own experience and from, it's too much of an emotional experience. It's too deeply ingrained in us. It is. I just don't think you can get away with it, so to speak. And I don't mean that in a negative way, like you're getting away with it. But I think if anything, what I think right now is I think it's just too emotionally bonding. And even if you start to have a sexual relationship with somebody and you don't want anything more than that, I think one person or another, name one scenario where that ended well. Where it ended without someone's feelings getting hurt, where it ended with, maintaining a friendship. I don't know. I think those are just kind of fantasies. And we try to make them work, but I just don't think they ever would do. And so it's definitely become clear to me that as tempting as it is to want to walk down that path, it's ultimately I'm assuming, maybe that's not the right word. What's the word? I'll say assuming. I'm assuming that it's more wise to walk down a different path that leads to some sort of monogamous relationship that you build long term. I'll use a standard, man, husband, wife, kids, family. I think that's pretty standard and of much more value and utility than just having promiscuous relationships with multiple people that don't give you any other value apart from hedonic momentary sexual gratification. There we go. I think that was decently articulated. Yeah. So I definitely want a family, but I've talked about this before, but I've definitely in the past, I've looked at my romantic life through the lens of my parents, meaning, I've almost felt weird about myself. I'm talking a lot about myself, but it's my fucking podcast. I'll talk about whatever I want. I used to kind of view myself through the lens of my parents' relationship. So like they got married in their early 20s, and so I'm 26. I should be married by now. I should have kids. I should have this. I should have that. And it's like we're on different journeys, different times, different lives, different priorities and responsibilities. Just not comparing yourself to anybody. Your siblings, your parents, your anybody. We're just all on separate paths. There's too many different variables going on. We're all too different. We truly are on an individual's journey. And we're on an individual's journey collectively with each other. If that's a paradox, I don't know. But yeah, a family that'd be good someday. Well, I suppose, folks, we're already 30 minutes in. These always go by so fast. If you enjoy the show, thanks so much for always coming by on Wednesdays. If you want to sign up and support the show, you can go to patreon.com/Trevor Ohlsen. And I do a podcast there every Saturday as well. You can also Skype with me and get a t-shirt and all sorts of other shit if you're interested in that kind of stuff. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to, give the old thumbs up. Thumbs up. That was a thumb going up an ass reference. Thumbs up on the video. And I suppose that's it for this episode. So I will see all of you guys on Saturday on Patreon, and if not then I'll see you next week on Wednesday. Have a great week. Stay stay safe. Don't do anything too dangerous. Get out there and live your fucking lives. And I'll see all of you guys Saturday, Wednesday, whenever.